Welcome to What You Need to Know, a Canadian Polycast. I'm Alison Fair, a consultant here at Bluesky Strategy Group, and I have the pleasure, as always, to be joined by my colleagues, Susan Smith, Neil Brody, and Cam Holstrom. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Alison.
Morning. Hello there.
So Friday, the last Friday. I can't believe we're actually here already. It's gone by so quickly. But the last Friday before Election Day, which is on Monday, September the 20th, I want to get a sense from all of you guys. What is the strategies that the campaigns are now going to do in this final push towards Election Day? What do they need to be focusing on to get voters voting for them? Susan?
Well, this is about get out the vote, and get out the vote is everything is all pushing to Monday now. I believe it's a hearts and minds campaign at this point in time. So what you'll see is from the leader side, messaging that is designed, it won't be heavy on policy, but it's messaging that's designed to tug at the heartstrings of the people that they can potentially bring over, soft voters, and solidify their existing voters. And then for the campaigns themselves on the ground, it's who have you got as an identified voter? Are your home centers ready to go so that you can track as best as possible all those votes that you've identified and make sure they get to the polling stations? Tougher this year for voters, or more of a challenge. It'll be a bit more frustrating. Fewer Elections Canada polling stations because of COVID. They won't necessarily be in the same spot that people are used to. So it's super important for the parties to focus all the volunteers getting everybody out to the polling stations on Monday.
Neil, what do the Conservatives have to do to get people to really want a Conservative government come Monday evening?
Well, there'll be a couple of things. The Leaders Tour will crisscross the country multiple times in the next kind of 48 hours, 72 hours until Election Day. As Susan said, it's using your messages that you know will resonate with your voters or voters you've identified that are accessible from the other parties. So Mr. O'Toole would be an affordability message, I think. We saw inflation numbers on Wednesday or Thursday announced 4% price increases last month, 3.7 the month before, 3.1% the month before. If you want to see a government that continues to print money and cause prices to increase, vote for the Liberals. If you want a reasonably focused fiscal agenda for government, vote Conservative, and we'll work to keep your prices in check. But Susan, Susan's hit the nail on the head. It's all about getting the vote out. There'll be tons and tons of greenhouse gas emissions expended on Monday as volunteers drive supporters to and from polling stations, and as leaders crisscross the sky in their old clunkers of planes that push tons of GHGs into the atmosphere.
Oh, such a pleasant thought there, Neil. Thank you. As we're trying to become more green in this country. Cam?
There's the aspirational goal, and then there's the realistic world.
Okay. We got to get more to that aspirational. Let's just be honest here. But Cam, in terms of the NDP, they're really good at getting out there on kind of the ground game. And what does Jagmeet need to do now this weekend to get NDP voters and those who are kind of waffling between the Liberals and the NDP to vote for them?
Well, it's motivation. It's motivation at this point. And you'll watch what Jagmeet's been doing the last few days. Neil points out that, the heavy carbon intensive campaign. Well, Jagmeet Singh had an event with 60,000 people on Twitch the other night, playing a video game, having fun, and engaging with young people to get them out to vote. Not a lot of carbon intensity in that one, sitting in a gaming studio in Vaughan. But the fact is that it's finding those ways to try to get your voters out, get the people that you want to get out. For the NDP right now, they are pushing for younger voters. They really are making that play, and they are doing everything they can to maximize that through all the channels possible. Through your traditional, like going to doors, getting people out, but also through the digital, through social media, through video games, even the advertising. The NDP has gone and purchased advertising on things like Nintendo Switch and things like that. So when these late teens, 20s, 30s, or even 40-year-olds who game go and play their
Did
game.
you just
They're
get outed
streaming.
as a video game player, Cam?
I think so.
You know, it should be no shock to anyone. I knew where Twitch was because I watch NBA 2K games on there. So yeah, it was nice, interesting melding of things. But the point being, it's trying to find your niche, trying to find what's working, but also trying to marry the tried and true with what's going to work in this moment. And I think that's been the key in all of this. It's been very different because we're in this COVID campaign where you don't have all the traditional tools at your disposal, or maybe they may not be as effective. It's how do you work around that? How do you reach people where they are? And right now, because a lot of people can't be in person, they're online. Now, we'll see how it plays out. To me, one of the themes of this campaign when it comes to strategy, it's either genius or the opposite. And you really won't know till after the fact, because some of these things are new tactics and new things. But you know, we've seen this evolution happen through campaigns over the last 20 years.
Yeah, definitely.
And if the NDP are successful with it, I guarantee you're going to see whomever the next liberal or conservative leaders spending time on Twitch, going on TikTok. They're going to be social media stars like everybody else.
I recall Justin Trudeau being criticized for that in 2015, but hey, things evolve.
Yeah, you know what? And even like if you go back to the selfies, right? That was a huge thing.
Nobody's complaining about that anymore. It's a thing.
No.
Exactly.
As long as you're dancing, it's all good.
There's going to be a political dance for TikTok. I can see it. So exact, going back to this weekend, we've got 3 days. And what are you going to be looking for, Susan, when it comes to this final push? What are you going to be watching for?
I'm going to be looking actually at the ad blitz. I think there'll be a lot of, Cam was talking about it, every party, the Liberals, the Conservatives, the NDP, and the Greens, if they've got any money, and the PPC, if you are in those streams, will be targeting their voters and their potential voters. And that, I think there'll be broadcast ads, there'll be wider ones that are meant for everybody, and then there will be more narrowcast ads for the issue. For example, in Toronto, I think if you're in the 905 or the GTA, you'll probably see gun-related ads trying to contrast the the Conservatives and the Liberals on that. That's the kind of thing I'm going to be watching for. I do expect the leader to be all the way across, crisscrossing the country, GHG emissions notwithstanding. They'll probably buy carbon offsets, and as well as some more, I hope, more online town halls, because Cam, I think it actually is a good tactic from the NDP, though Trudeau would get roasted if he did a switch thing. People would say he wasn't serious, but Jagmeet's he's trying to appeal to people differently. So ads and voter motivation and volunteer motivation, that's what I see.
And one thing the Conservatives have actually, I give them credit, I know a lot of people were poo-pooing them at the beginning, was their virtual town halls. They were getting out there in a different way to their voter base. And Neil, what are you going to be looking for from the Conservatives this weekend before Monday?
It's we've talked about this a bit in the podcast. It's voter ID and making sure you've got enough volunteers to get out the vote. This is the election nobody but Justin Trudeau wanted. This is the election that really nobody knows why we're having. And that framing around the election, I fear, will cause voter apathy, and people will just stay home because these are the last nice days of summer in our Arctic climate, where the days get short and the temperatures get cold. And do you really want to go out and spend an hour or two in getting to the polling station, standing in line, going through the hassle, what people sometimes refer to as the hassle of voting? Or would you rather enjoy the 22-degree weather outside and have a barbecue or watch football?
You can do both.
You can. People
listen. I just this is what campaigns really need to do, is make sure they've identified their voters and they're getting them out to vote, because there's every incentive for Canadians not to vote in this election because they have no idea what they're voting for.
Well, I have to be encouraged by the advance polls. Seeing a lot, people tweeting and the long lineups and everything, that gives me some hope that we are going to see some decent turnout. Cam, what are you looking for from the NDP this weekend?
It's going to be continuing their positive messaging, but again, continuing to let people know that they've got a choice. that there's not a red door, blue door. The orange door is there, it's wide open, and it's an option for them. I think the other bigger problem is going to be on Monday, and I've done enough E-Day work where I'm glad I'm not doing this in the least bit involved in this E-Day, because it's going to be chaotic, to be polite about it. If you were seeing those kind of lineups at advance polls, I pity what's going to happen on the day of, especially when it comes to, again, trying to keep people in line, fewer polling stations, more people cramming in, but also too, Elections Canada in media is reporting that they're prepared to deal with protests at polling stations.
Hopefully not.
I hope not either, but unfortunately, if some of those people those cruel people who've been protesting in front of hospitals decide to move to a polling station for a day, all of a sudden, you got big problems. I would not be the least bit surprised if we see an abnormal number of polling stations kept open later this time because of either long lines or other things. No, just because, again, just the nature of actually being able to get in the door. Usually you always have a couple here and there, you'll hear Rosie Barton talking about, well, there's a random polling station still open in Cape Breton, so we don't have quick results yet for that riding. Like, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we ended up with more of those this time.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that, because we will be waiting for results for a long time.
And I'll be on air. I'm on CPAC till.
That's right.
It's going to be a long night there. Tune in.
Yes, for sure. So let's hope it all goes smoothly on Monday. I appreciate you guys coming on today, giving us your insight as to what this final weekend will be looking like. And let's get everyone out there to vote and make a difference in this election.
Get out there, vote,
Thanks, Susan,
people.
Neil, and Cam. And thank you, viewers, for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bluesky Strategy Group is one of Canada's leading public affairs firms. For government relations, lobbying, and strategic communications advice across Canada, visit us at blueskystrategygroup.com. Bluesky Strategy Group is a proud member of the Global Communications Alliance.